Hey pilots, hope your weekend is going well. I've got two replays for you today, showcasing some of the difference between conquest and attrition, and also just some really lousy map design on this archipelago map. Yeah, this is actually one of the first maps in the game. I played on this in alpha. It's changed a lot since then. Not necessarily for the better either. I think the layout in alpha was a little tighter. We'll talk about that. But we're going to go 3v3 on this one. We've got a specialized 265, a P60, P51A with us, and on their side a Yak 3, a Schmidt 210, and another P51A. So fairly even, I think. We've got a turn and burn. They've got a turn and burn. We've got a ground pounder, but they have a heavy, and then of course the two P51s. I've been finishing up the Key 84 line, and this was my last battle in it. It's been a great plane. It's nice to have that little bit of altitude performance to go alongside the turn and burn nature of these. And the most powerful thing about the Key 84 is it has the guns from the Key 94 and one tier up, but it has them one tier down. So having these at tier 7 makes a world of difference when you're fighting stuff. So get into some trouble with some flak. I'm not sure why the flak's locked onto me. I'm not the first guy in the zone. I'm not the only guy up high, but there it is. So my usual plan on this map, and this is the one with a mining plant in the center, 2 airfields and then 2 garrisons, is clear out bombers on the initial run. The bombers always go for this mining plant to start with, and if I can wipe out even one of their bombers, that puts us at a great advantage. I expected to see the 410 here and did not, and so you got the first issue with the Conquest game mode, which is that players don't always know what matters or where they should be. And the truth is that 410 should have been here right from the start. If he had ordnance on his plane, he should have been dropping it here. If he didn't have ordnance, he should have been clearing out our bombers and attack aircraft. He has not, and that's going to give us free reign. We get a little bit of a wing clip with a teammate there. That's unavoidable. He didn't really see me. I didn't see him. Because of the clouds, and we're doing the same thing. So I'm going to trust him right here to finish off this plane, and I'm going to head on for the other one. I want to come back to that. That play doesn't always work out, but in this case it did. He did finish off the ground attacker. We did well. So trusting your teammates is a little bit of a dice roll proposition. So you see our 265 coming in there to help us, but the zone is gone. That was an interesting decision by him as well. I'm not sure if he was already in the zone and then was swinging around or what, but through concentrated efforts, it's ours. There's a bunch of guys up high. I've sacrificed my altitude to come after those ground attackers. So I'm just going to keep an eye on them. And one of the things you can do if you are a turn and burn like this, even if it's an altitude one, is just kind of keep an eye on the sky. Forcing people to dive down low to take you on is great, especially if you're down really low. They have a hard time gauging when to pull out, gauging their shots. You force them to come straight down on top of you, and you can sort of wiggle and make them miss. But I've been biding my time. I've gained another 500 meters of altitude. I've got some good range guns on this thing, and I'm just sort of slowly working my altitude back up. I know we've got to defend this zone. Why? Because this zone is worth 3 zones if you do the math, and so right now we have 5 zones to their 2, and this is the one zone that matters then on this map. Even if you're going to spend any time capping anything, it needs to be this one. And even though I can't necessarily have an impact on the ground side, I can defend this thing well. This is a defensive fighter. The turn and burns often are. That's the role they play in this meta. But I'm aware that we only have 30 cap points left in this zone, and it ain't looking good. And so I'm concerned that we are going to lose this. Here's a second part of Conquest that sometimes throws people. I pull off on the 190. Why do I pull off on the 190? Because he's left the zone. I can shoot him down, but it doesn't make a difference. And my real goal here is to preserve the zone for us. And unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. And my low HP means I can't sit behind ground attackers either. Not that I want to. What I really want is to slow him down, force him to turn. Bots will sometimes do that in response to fire, so that I can burn those 17 seconds to clear him out of the zone so I can get 60 cap points for him. But our bot decides, I need to finish this guy, and so we lose the opportunity to gain 60 cap points right there. That's okay. I gain an opportunity to help my teammate out who's in a one-on-one, and it doesn't look like he's doing great. Looks like he's in a defensive posture, so we're going to wail on this guy and see if we can at least get him off track. And we do. He's forced to kind of take defensive measures, and now it's 2v1 the other direction. He's trying to outturn a Key 84. That's not going to happen. Yeah, if he had his boost, his best chance was to extend and get out, but I don't think he had that. And there's the 410, and that's the only time we see the 410 in this match. I'm not sure if he was trying to work the edges or what he was doing. The direction he's coming from, we have the zones over there, so I wasn't super worried about it. But he's trying to clear out our ground attacker before he can help us flip this zone back, and the end result is all he really does, because he wasn't looking at the pips on the field who was in the zone already, as he gives us a free 60 points towards reflipping it. And as long as we flip it the next 30 seconds, it's not going to hurt us to have lost this zone. And you know what? There's enough cap points floating around between the ground and the air, we can pull this off. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here going head on with that guy, but I know how strong the guns are on this plane. And so I decided to take the risk. And then I noticed this guy's diving and not paying attention. Of course, it's a bot, so that's usually the case. I'm at the top of my arc, so I go ahead and use that nose up button. I don't have my keyboard mod on for this match, but if you did, you would see me hitting that S key and just going ahead and tipping the plane over so I can follow him and not stall out and be left hanging in midair. We've reflipped the zone. This is great. Here's where you see the first of the two bad design elements in this map. The first is there's nothing else to do. Even if we didn't possess the other zones, it wouldn't matter. Even if we possess just one of the three other zones, the game is a push and we're up on points, so I don't care about capping another zone. I just care about squatting on this zone that's worth 3 times the number of points as the other zones. And a lot of times players don't know that, so you notice our players have left. Even if they know that, the game also incentivizes you not defending in one place. And so they've moved on to try and up their personal points, which is the easiest way for players to tell how they're doing in a match, for the most part, as a summary number. And so they've left, which is, it just is what it is. At this point, though, we've gained air superiority, so I'm going to come out of the zone because we've won this match. It's not going anywhere. And I want to show you something else real quick. This is the second part of the poor design of this map. Look how close, down on my right there, you see the garrison. It's almost touching the mining plant. And then you have the airfield off to my left, which is essentially parallel with the starting respawn zone. The only advantage air bases offer is they allow you to respawn there. And because the two air bases on this map are the two zones further away from the mining plant and almost in line with the original spawn zone, it is of no benefit to have them. It turns this map into a very slow, plodding, difficult affair, and we are lucky to have flipped the mining plant back in the way that we did. This map really actually should have the two garrisons should actually be the airfields, and the two airfields should actually be the garrisons. That would allow respawning close to the mining plant. That would create an intense dogfight atmosphere on this map, and would make it a really fun proposition. As it is, it's a really frustrating proposition, because whoever wins the center in the first 60 seconds of the game or so, usually wins the match. And so this match was lost because a Messerschmitt 410 player did not know to come to the center zone, because he was not familiar enough with the game, because he was a newer player. He didn't make the right decision at the very beginning of the match, and he was penalized for it for the entirety of the match. This is the downfall of Conquest. There is a layer of strategy and game mechanics that are just beyond the grasp of the casual player who wants to come in and fly planes and shoot stuff down. And so that's the double whammy of a weakness of this map and this zone especially, because there are a number of maps like this in the course of warplanes that, they weren't meant for Conquest. They were never designed for that. And the real reason why you don't see airfields in the other two zones is because there were never airfields in the graphical assets for this map. So, of course, they put them where the graphical assets match up. That makes sense. But it doesn't make sense in terms of the grand design of what you want happening on a map like this. So, overall, though, it was a good game, and the K84 has been fun. I'm excited about the Key 94. You can see a little bit of a slower match, just because we only shot down 9 planes because there wasn't much to do there, right? And so, but still not bad. We didn't die. We got a lot of cap points, and we also did a little bit of damage to our friendly. If you saw that aerial damage over there, Got one of our daily missions done, although I don't really do them daily. I kind of do them weekly. This is one I want, though, for those 10 tokens, because I really want to get those tier 10, especially the fighters specialized. Some of the multi-rolls and stuff can wait. But you guys know if you ever played any tier 10, you do not want to take your unspecialized tier 10 fighter out in this environment, because most of the other tier 10s you're going to run into are already specialized, so you're just buying the 8-ball. So those tokens are for specializing those tier 10s. I'm a couple of hundred shy of the XP for the Key 94. I'm debating in my mind, do I play another game because I'd really like this one, or do I just free XP the rest? I decide, don't really need to decide right now. I can come back to it. So what I really want to do is look at what else I need to be grinding. I know winter trials are coming up. I know holiday events coming up. I know there's going to be planes on sale. What do I have left to finish? And at this point, outside of those 2 tier 7s, everything tech tree wise is tier 8 and above. But I haven't made a lot of progress on some of these. The Shinden I've struggled with. This one I've really struggled with, the Tempest. And I really do want the Hawker Hunter. It looks amazing. But here's the issue with this line, by the way. Everything up through and including the Seahawk are defensive multi-rolls. They have one set of ordnance and decent flight characteristics, meaning they're not good at hopping zones from place to place and capping the way some of the offensive ones are. Like the Hunter. The Hunter is an offensive multi-roll. Multiple ways to capture, multiple sets of ordnance, heavy guns, decent flight characteristics, right? So I've also struggled with a Pancake. You pretty much have to free XP the cannons or it's worthless. The Yak's been okay, but I just played a turn fighter. I'm looking for something different. The 250 is interesting. I'm still learning it, but I do have fully upgraded. The SU-9 has really been the fun one for me lately. Now, I did a full maneuver build on this, and I think it was VBAT that talked about doing this. It might have been Postal, but I'm pretty sure it was V that talked about building this line in a full maneuver build. And obviously, before this, in the Yaks, you would do that. And I love the Yak 9 and the Yak 9U. Excellent. Just a lot of fun, right? But I didn't play them with the sniper cannon, the full up. I played them with a 37. And that's exactly what I've got running here, which is why I haven't upgraded the guns yet. I'm still trying to decide, do I really want to upgrade to that sniper cannon or do I want to keep the 37? But I've got a full maneuver build on it. I'm going to jump ahead a little on the video here, just so that you guys aren't waiting. But playing it in a full maneuver build is interesting. It's still not quite super maneuverable, but it is a lot of fun, and that's what I will say. I have fun playing it, even if it's not the best out there. Now I get into a match. This one's going to be 4v4. Not bad. Valent is a decent pilot. I'm running him several times. I don't know much about the others other than Vinny. Poor Vinny here is a new player as well. He's still learning the game, and he plays mostly his J21. And we're going to see, some of that stuff that the game doesn't teach you as we're playing this. And then on the other side, I realized very quickly, don't know Cuervo or Scooter necessarily, but Pirate is in my clan with me. He and I are both Drax together. He's a fantastic pilot, much better than me. And so I'm feeling pretty good about this match already, that if the two of us can kind of work our magic, this should hopefully be another win for us. And so he says he's going to go hit the command center. That's perfect. The Widow is perfect for that. He'll cap it very quickly. There's not much I can do on the mining plant because I do not have bombs on this. So if I did have bombs, I could scoot over, maybe contribute 20 or 40 cap points and move on. But because of that, I decide best thing for me to do is head to the middle. And so that's what I'm going to do. I know a couple of our bots will go there as well. And even though it's just a garrison, it is a stepping stone. And so we're going to try and take that. So great aircraft. You might notice with the Key 84 and with this one both, when I'm doing tech tree aircraft and I'm grinding, I usually don't buy the full sets of camouflage. It's kind of expensive, even for someone with a premium account like me. So I usually just do that basic camo. It gives me a little bit of concealability and, more importantly, a little bit of deflection on the AA guns, which can really be brutal. So I'm looking at sizing it up. What do I see? Multi-roll down there, and I see the Key 94. Immediately F4 him, hoping the C-Fang will get him, and I'm going to trust the C-Fang's going to do that, or at least keep him busy, and I'm going to have to go after Vinny. I'm a little worried about Vinny capping the zone with his rockets and machine guns, and unfortunately, even though we've got now 2 bots on top of Valent in his Key 94, it's not enough to keep him busy. So I'm able to finish off Vinny here, who turns probably think he can outturn an SU-9. and just doesn't get it. I'm going to burn. I'm hoping I can string this guy out in front of my 2 bots. I'm trying to weave a little bit, dodge a little bit. I'm also trying to get to the edge of the zone so I don't give him 60 free cap points. And unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So I can't quite get there. Now, the bots do take him out a split second after he gets me, unfortunately. But it's okay. At this point, we're doing good. We've capped our command zone. We're almost done with our mining plant. And they've only just now capped their command zone. So we're feeling pretty good about this. And I'm going to dive right back in. And I'm looking at the middle going, we've probably got that. But I'll head there first and go. Now, one of the nice trade-offs you have, even though the SU-9 is not as maneuverable as the Yaks that have come before it, the way the line pivots is that you trade some of that maneuverability in return for this speed with the jet engines. And it makes for a very unique experience in the line, even though it is a pivot, a change that people have to get used to, which is why the suggestion was made, build it for maneuver. And I'm doing that with my 260 as well. I'm building it full maneuver. I want to get it to specialized and really hammer down on that maneuver. I want to see how low I can get or high I can get the maneuverability on. I think it'd be great. So let's pause again. This is another weakness in the Conquest game mode, which is, again, why I prefer attrition. Vinny here is a new player. He does not understand. He's already spent $50 on the game, by the way. He's got a $50 tier 8 premium, right? He's in a mining zone in a plane that has rockets, which are a light ground ordnance, and machine guns. And there's nothing he's going to do to flip this zone. And by the way, capturing this zone is probably not the best use of his time. He probably should be over there trying to cap our command zone. But it's first zone he saw. Maybe he has some inkling at this point that mining plants are useful. And so that's what he's going for. And you see him drop a couple of rockets there. But I'm able to clear him out with my heavy guns. I'm going to soften up this. And then I realize, I've got company again above me and also maybe coming in on the zone. And the downside of this mining plant being their mining plant, quote unquote, it's by their spawn zone. So you see 2 red dots just appeared on the map again and then disappeared because I lost sight of them, but they're there, they're coming. So I'm trying to get some altitude. The Tempest is running from me, which I think is odd, and then I realize he's diving on me. And it's just going to take me too much time to deal with this guy. And unfortunately, again, the Key 94 is coming in, and I can smell him at this point. He's that close. So I'm going to just try and wrap this bot up. I thought maybe I could delay the capture of the zone a little bit. I can't. But the good news is I'm able to get out of the zone. You can see the icon for the mining plant disappeared. So I'm down. That's okay, though. It's a little bit of a sack play. What I've really done is prevented the capture of that mining plant while ours was captured. So now we have a head start on that timer for the mining plant, which is fantastic. I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the match too, Scooter was complaining. He says, I always lose in this plane. And it is hard. I will say this. I don't know if he's new or not, but the 262 is a bugaboo. It's a little bit of a beast. And it's hard to get used to the play style, which is so different probably than anything else you've done before. So I want to hang on to our command zone. I see the bombers incoming. I'm like, all right, let's finish off the Tempest that I was working on before. And unfortunately, I don't get an assist. Why? Because I died in respawn, so it doesn't count. And I'm like, all right, well, I've got heavy guns. Let's clear out one of these bombers, make sure the zone doesn't get flipped. And unfortunately, the bombs start coming down. So now I have an issue, right? I haven't killed the bomber, and if you kill a bomber, it doesn't give you cap points anyway. So we're just going to roll over. And I make a little bit of a mistake here. I should not have hung myself out in front of the tail guns and lost that much HP. But there we are. Okay, well, let's dive on the F7F. Let's see if we can retain the zone in that way. Well, no, the bots are going to get him. And that's the downside of the SU-9. It's not quite fast enough, not quite maneuverable enough, right? It's kind of in the middle, and that jack of all trades can sometimes let you down. So I see some work over there on the mining plant. It's now captured, but we also have a bomber flight in on that. I'm not going to worry about it. I want to hang on to this zone in particular. Now, what should the enemy be doing? Well, maybe working this zone or maybe working the mining plant. But they didn't seem to do either one of those things, really. So instead, we're just kind of playing defensively, hanging on to the matches, the zones that we have. And you can see there the garrison in the middle flip. So they were working on the garrison. Again, not really worthwhile in this mode. Congratulations on capping the zone, but it's not going to change the match for you. Now, Vinny is inbound with a vengeance here, and he is at least working the right zone, but I'm able to loop over him. And he turns again, probably thinking he can outturn me if he has that understanding of these. He cannot. He's also gotten himself into a 2v1. He underestimated his ability to kill me in that first pass, and now he's dealing with my compatriot over there as well, which is a P51K, I believe. Yeah. And so now he's just going to boost away, which was the right move to begin with, probably. But it's not going to make a difference here. And he doesn't know to get out of the zone. If he had gotten out of the zone, we would have, right back, then we would have flipped it right there. I don't know if you saw that or not. Right, we're at 10 cap points right now, 15 maybe. I can't see the screen that right now. But so if he had gotten out of the zone, then that kill that happened right after him when our bot went down would have flipped this zone. But because he stuck around in a 2v1 and died inside the zone, it changed the course of things right there, right? Maya would have been the beginning of the comeback. But did he know to get outside the zone? It's unclear, right? And the game doesn't necessarily make it clear. It's kind of something you learn by experience. So where you fight is super important, which does develop some map skills for people, thankfully. But in any case, the B-32, which I'm sure Pirate has kept in check all match, is rolling along up there. Looks like he might be a little tie as well. Gotta watch that red. Instead, we're going to dive and see if we can clear out this Tempest. I really want to hang on to this zone, even though I'm pretty sure we got this in the bag at this point. And there's Scooter diving on him, and those guns are so... We talked about this. Guns are so tricky. He's not able to one-pass that Tempest, unfortunately. So we're going to teamwork on the bomb again. The bomber, excuse me, on this one. And he's going to dive in on him. And you can see the boot. He was boosting right there, so makes it hard to do that pass a little bit, right? That's one of the things you kind of almost have to... As you saw me do in the HG2 video, you got to stand on the brakes with the 262 sometimes. So that's match number 2 for you today. This one also not a legendary pilot or an ace match or anything like that. But I just wanted to highlight some of the things in these two matches that I see as a longtime player. That make the game really frustrating for new players, especially. God bless Vinny for hanging in and doing his best in it, and for investing in the game. If it weren't for players like him, we wouldn't have a game to play. So I'm not going to criticize him for his gameplay. But this is one of the downsides. You see, I only got 6 kills, but I did 4,600 damage. I mean, that's wild, right? And again, no assists. Why do I have no assists? Well, because all the people I assisted with, I died and respawned, and then I don't get the assist. So anyway, it's a fun plane. I've enjoyed it. And again, it's not a world beater, but just working on that maneuver build has made the plane more comfortable. Before this, I didn't enjoy the plane, but now I do, and I see the possibilities there. So I'm curious once I get the 260 up and running in a spec build, how it'll feel to fly that bugger, especially with the engines on it, which are about the same as the ones on the Su-9 here, and the very strong armament in the nose with that 57 millimeter. So expect a video on that sometime in the next couple of weeks as well. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. Heart of the Griffin. I know it's much harder to get boxes this week because of the attrition mode and because of the grind that Wargaming put on this. For example, 120 aerial targets, and then you find out the aerial targets can't be air defense aircraft. They have to be ones that actually count for attrition. So I get it. I don't know if they've given out too many boxes or if they just miscalculated, or if they're really just beholden to those people that are super in it for the grind and they feel like they need to cater to them. Don't know. Again, I wouldn't buy any boxes. If you don't get the Martin Baker 5, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll see what we get next week for the holiday plane. And someone pointed out, it's been a year since the P61 was released, so it should be going on sale at some point. Usually that's the delay between these marathon planes being ground for and then hitting the public. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see. Maybe they'll nerf it after they get all their sales done on it. Maybe they'll put it back in its place like they did the XB54. But I've been playing a lot this weekend. I hope to see you in the skies. And if there's any questions you have or any planes or tactics you'd like to see happen, please let me know. I'm happy to show those to you. And let's have a good holiday season in the skies. I'll catch you guys on the next one.